I'm Ross, and I work for West Florida Historic Preservation Inc. I'm the Historic Preservationist down here, and my typical day is I will deal with the community with preservation issues, whether somebody's restoring a house or they just need research provided. I also manage 28 buildings on 8.5 acres in downtown Pensacola, and I am in charge with documenting the buildings, looking at the research of them, maintaining them, and doing grants that will preserve them for the public to use as house museums. For example, a typical day would be to work on a grant application in the morning, do historical research on one of our buildings. Maybe I'll get a call to come down to one of the buildings to check out a air conditioner problem or a water leak, and then I have to investigate what that problem is. Is it old or is it new? Then I may get called by a community member who wants to restore their house. Where do they start? How do they go through the process? What's available? What information's out there? Our local university has a preservation program, and I will typically work with students on their research for buildings, help them with maps and photographs and documenting buildings. Also, I'm an advisor to the Architectural Review Board here in town for the city, and I will also provide them with photographs, historical research, what would be appropriate for that site if it's going to be a new building. If it's a renovation to an existing building, I say if it fits the historic character of it. Qualifications for this job would include an education, a bachelor's in architecture, history, archaeology, even social science, and then you can go into getting a master's in preservation, architecture, history, and even archaeology. With those degrees, the most important part is getting internships while you're still in school to get real-world experience. Employers are always looking for the experience on your resume. And then once you graduate, you typically have 2 years after you graduate to be considered a actual historic preservationist. You need 2 years of experience, full-time experience. The other advice is getting involved with the community. Any nonprofits while you're in school will help. How to know how the process works with getting plans approved, how battles are waged over some contentious issues. Preservation is often, you're not only saving buildings, but you're being included in talks for new buildings. And it's not only buildings, archaeologists deal with historic preservation too. The best part of my job would be to get to go to places that few people ever get to go. It may sound weird, but I get to go in a lot of attics, which are weird spaces, but they're awesome. You get to go under buildings, you get to see how buildings are constructed, you get to deal with artifacts firsthand and see the craftsmanship that once was part of building a house or any other building. The sense of discovery when you're researching a property, you get to see stuff that hasn't been seen before for maybe 100 years. Maybe the building was lost, no one knew what it looked like. Then the other parts of the job, the more difficult parts to take, is preservation is contentious at times. There will be battles over whether a building should be demolished or whether a new building is appropriate for a certain area of town in a historic district. Waging those battles, having academic research, having historical data to prove a case, and then having the public officials and other members of the community come out and sometimes go against that knowledge is somewhat hard to take. You have to be able to wage the battle but accept defeat when it happens. The best thing I could do is bring issues up for discussion and debate and let it go from there. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you hope whatever outcome it is, it's the best for the community. If you're interested in being a historic preservationist, I would suggest first volunteering. A lot of communities have historical societies, they have libraries, they have landmark societies. Get involved with these nonprofits and learn how the process works, get to some experience working on projects, and then when you're in school, do internships with either private businesses or with city governments. Go to meetings, be involved in the community, learn, go to conferences. As students, you can go to a lot of conferences for free. And then beyond that, if whatever classes you're taking, if you're in history, take some architecture classes. If you're in architecture, take history. A lot of schools offer real estate degrees, learning archaeology. Just broaden your horizon, because you learn on the job. You need to learn how all these pieces go together, and it's more than just buildings. It is more on history, archaeology, city planning, real estate, even finance is all included in this profession. Working on grants, you need to know how money works, how you can create a budget. Get experience in other fields. Like if you're in architecture, learn how a building goes together. Take construction classes or get a job in construction. If you're in history, work with archivists and other people. Just find the people you need to work with and you can learn from is the biggest advice I'd give.